This is where like some tough intro is going to go one of these days when it doesn't slip my mind. But nonetheless, this is the Lowco Grind. Welcome back to the grind. Justin Jarrett joined by Wes Kerr, and not sure how many friends will pop by tonight to join us in studio, Wes, but certainly we sent out the invite to a few folks. It's late night. It's holiday. Nobody knows what day it is. Like it's Wednesday. I only know because of what show we have at the top of the thing. But I know it's Wednesday because it's the grind. But other than that, it's like that haze, that holiday haze, where
Yeah,
nobody really
that
kind of
that
knows what's going
this
on.
whole
That
week,
routines are just out the window. Nobody knows what's going on.
yeah, this whole week between Christmas and New Year's, it's like, what day is it again? Is it Saturday? Is it Monday? Is it? It's
Yeah, exactly, man. Like seriously, what show we're doing? Like when I have to figure that
yeah,
out is kind of when I remember what day of the week it is. But some of our routine came back today for Truman and I because we were able to get back in the wrestling room with the McCracken Bulldog. So that was a return to normalcy for us. We got a little parole from family Christmas for a couple hours. You know, that's always nice to be able to get out and do something active. But especially after these rainy days we've been having.
yeah,
But rainy days are a great time to be on the mat, and we've got a lot of wrestling action coming up this weekend, in particular Friday and Saturday. The May River Shark Invitational comes back to May River High School, and it's going to be Donnybrook for to end all Donnybrooks. You got 32 teams from South Carolina and Georgia. We have a full rundown. It's going to be Friday and Saturday again, $10 per day or $18 for a 2-day pass. Powell said he would gladly come on to help us hype up the tournament tonight if he could make it that late.
game time
And
decision.
he stopped responding to my text a couple hours ago, so I think he's toast, which is fair enough when you figure out that he's been organizing this 32 team tournament.
Yeah,
It's going to be a great event. Georgia teams coming in. You got Benedictine, Effingham County, Evans from up Augusta way, Grovetown, McIntosh County, New Hampstead, Savannah Christian, and South Effingham. So mostly kind of area schools. South Carolina, well represented from all parts of the state. You got Aiken, Ashley Ridge, Ainer, Battery Creek, Beaufort, Berkeley, Bishop England, Bluffton, Bridges Prep, Cane Bay, Clover, Fort D, Fort Mill, Gilbert, Hanahan, Hilton Head, Lawrence, Lucy Beckham, May River, North Myrtle Beach, Philip Simmons, Socastee, Wade Hampton, and White Knoll. So, I mean, everybody
full
almost,
crew.
especially in this part of the state, is coming, and so that's going to be really cool. We're going to see a lot of matchups across those South Carolina scmat.com rankings that we're going to talk about in a little bit that were released this week. And so, those rankings and, the guys who compiled them would tell you like, man, it's a shot in the dark at this time of year, especially when you look at some of these weight classes, and we'll get into it a little bit when we look deeper at them. There's only one or two or three guys who are returning with any state tournament experience. So really at this point in the season, and details are so scant, right? Like you can find a couple tournaments on Flow or on Track if you know what you're looking for, but it's hard to kind of track down everything and really know what all's going on. So you're kind of guessing, and then events like this are where we see a lot of head-to-head matchups that help you really sort through that. And so it's going to be a really cool weekend out at May River. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's going to be a ton of fun. And man, we have got the cream of the crop, not just here in South Carolina, but also in Georgia, Cane Bay, the top 5A squads in the entire state. And local is well presented too. I mean, Bridges Prep, it's been a program on the rise. You got Beaufort, Battery Creek has been consistently really good. So, get to see the best squads in our area go up against some outstanding teams from the state and beyond. It's a premier event, and it just continues to display that high standard, and it's great for everybody to go up against the top. And once you get into the medal rounds, I guess you could say, or like the semifinals and the final, those matches are going to be
Oh,
electric, and that is worth the price of admission. So, it's 32 quality teams. Friday, the 29th, Saturday, 30th, especially that Saturday, those final matches. That is going to be some fun wrestling to watch. So definitely get out there if you can. I'm excited to hear your reports, and depending on what happens with the Bobcat Classic over in Bluffton, which I will be the next few
Yeah.
days, I will try to catch some wrestling if I can.
I mean, the great thing about wrestling is it's ongoing for
Yep.
just 2 solid days. You can pop in for 45 minutes to an hour and see a whole bunch of guys wrestle. And that's the really cool thing. You might only see them wrestle once, but you'll get to see a bunch of guys and at least kind of get an idea and a feel for what they've got going on and what they look like. But no, the competition is going to be terrific. Fort Mill is number 4 in Class 5A. So they've got a number of guys who are ranked highly in Class 5A. So starting from the top there, you talk about them in Cane Bay. Cane Bay is a little bit down as a team right now. They're number 19 in 5A, but they have the best wrestler in the state. You would have to say JJ Peace at 126 pounds, 3-time state champion going into his senior year. He has not lost a match in high school. So that's a guy that, you're going to get to see in person if you go out to the Shark Invitational. It's a very high caliber wrestler who's going to go do it at the next level. And speaking of which, I'm going to give a little shout out at the end of the night to a guy from the Lowco who's doing it the next level that I checked in on. I'm saving it for last. It's a little extra at the end that I'll entice you with. But there's going to be some terrific wrestling happening out there. And, I think May River is doing a great job of cultivating some guys who are, and when we talk about the rankings, we'll get into that more. But man, there's a lot of guys who are popping up that weren't really on your radar going into the season, who now you're going, oh, okay, that's a guy who could go to state and maybe bring home a medal, kind of popping out of the woodwork. So that's great to see. But I was trying to look and see what some of the other teams, the 5A teams, where they rated that are coming. But I know that Ashley Ridge is a power. Where are they at this year? They're down this year as well. They had been very good as well. So there'll be all kinds of 4Ds here. They're always solid as well. So there'll be a lot of good competition. Although it looks like I didn't realize how much the power in 5A had sort of shifted in different directions toward the upstate. And then Somerville is, always a power. They won't be here, which probably some people are not too sad about that. They can bully people around a little bit, leave some medals for us, but there's going to be some serious competition. So I guess my point in all of that was to say that if you come home with a medal from this thing, you've done something. And speaking of which, go ahead for just a second. I got to look up something funny that I saw today on Twitter.
Yeah, no, the competition is going to be stiff no matter what weight class you're looking at. So when you get into these final matches, you're going to have to bring your A game against anybody you go with. So, I'm excited to see who rises to the challenge in a big event like this. It's going to tell us who's ready and prepared to take that next step into the remainder of the schedule. So, especially for those mirror guys who we talked about who have done a good job finding their niche in this lineup and have really done a great job stepping in after they lost a bunch of talented guys these last 2 seasons. They have reloaded in a big way. So it's going to be a big challenge for those guys. And, some of the other point, I mean, this is a big opportunity for you to get your name known at a big time level and to really build momentum into the rest of the season. So, some certain guys have that chip on their shoulder mentality that are going to show out this week. So we'll go through some of those names.
I found this tweet. I was looking for. We got Powell. Since we couldn't get Powell on the show, we'll get Powell virtually. This trophy's taller than him. He says, as you can tell from the picture of myself in the first place trophy, it's over 6 foot, close to 7 foot tall, which is impressive. Look at that thing. That is ginormous, as my friend Buddy the Elf would say. And these really cool, most outstanding wrestler, lower weights and upper weights plaques will also be up for grabs this weekend. So going to be very
That
cool.
trophy's taller than myself. That's
Oh yeah, it towers over me. Towers over me. Well, Powell. I mean, me and Powell, we're about eye to eye. I think we're neither one of us gets an edge off our hair either. We are what we are. No fooling anybody. But no, I'm sure Powell's passed out by now. But he's been working hard to get this thing together. It's going to be a great event. Let me get a sip. I'm dying over here. It's been a long day, man. It's been a long holiday season. I hope you're doing well.
Yeah,
It was
I'm
good to
doing
get
good.
back in the wrestling room today and get a little activity going because I've been eating way too much. Got to shout out all these wrestlers who are trying to cut weight at the holidays. It's really
Yeah,
tough.
it's hard to do when the temptation of everything that the holidays bring, and you wanna make sure you get the grub in, but you also gotta maintain that strong physical shape, especially for those wrestlers who gotta get back at this week. So, it's the
Yeah,
holidays are great, but at the same time, you gotta be ready to get back at it for, myself and most importantly, these guys who are about to take to the mat coming up over the weekend. So it's really
they
gonna
got
be
to
a
make
fun
weight.
time over there.
Got to make weight. You got to be disciplined. That was one of my biggest memories of being a high school wrestler was like, okay, how much can I get away with eating at the holidays? Because I do have to make weight. Um, so that was one thing I did not miss when I stopped wrestling. But
That
our
was me
MVP
going cross
sponsors,
country.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Uh, at least they weren't going to weigh you for that. Like
Right, but
you just had to
I still
deal
wanted
with
to
the
maintain good physical shape.
consequences.
I wanted to get the carbs in, didn't wanna eat too
Oh
unhealthy,
yeah. Couldn't
so
let yourself go. Too much work had gone into it. You couldn't undo it with one meal. I feel you there. But let's shout out our MVP sponsors. First of all, a shout out our presenting sponsor for the grind, Reverence Wrestling Club. Blake and his team at Reverence doing a terrific job of training up wrestlers around here. I mean, almost every kid that I come across at the middle school or even at the high school level who impresses me and I talk to them a little bit, they're like, oh yeah, I go to Reverence. And I'm like, okay, yeah, makes sense. They've brought the element of just mat time and fundamental instruction for wrestling at a younger age to the low country, really. I mean, to the masses in the low country. And it's been terrific to see it start to sprout and blossom and see more kids get into the sport, boys and girls, as we've talked about. Whale Branch girls really blossoming. We'll talk a little bit about a couple of girls from Bluffton and Hilton Head who medaled at the tournament up in Aiken, North Augusta area over last week. So just love to see the growth of the sport, and I love the way that Reverence is doing it from the grassroots up, and proud to have them as sponsor of the Lowco Grind, the first podcast devoted to wrestling and combat sports in the low country. Our other MVP sponsors are Megan Jarrett, the official realtor of Lowco Sports, and my wife. She is an agent with Keller Williams of the Low Country, and she would love to help you find your place in the Lowco, whether it's a starter home or a forever home, maybe even an investment property. Great time to get into the market, and Megan Jarrett, the official realtor of Lowco Sports, would love to help you do it. And when we find the perfect home, we'll go to Homegrown Home Inspections with my friend Jan Lucas. His team brings an incredible level of expertise and customer service to every home inspection. So if you're building a new home, you can't afford to do it without an inspection from a phase inspection from Homegrown Home Inspections. So call on them. And then when they give us the go ahead, we'll go sign the papers with the Mickelson Law Firm, the official real estate closing attorneys of Lowco Sports. And our original sponsors, Ryan and Tiffany and the Mickelson team, will help you with all your legal needs. And finally, Hospice Care of the Low Country. The CEO, James Disman, is a great friend and a terrific leader. And his organization is providing great services like hospice care, palliative care, and free grief counseling to our community. So be sure to support them with your donations or with in any way that you can, because hospice care, it's not about dying, it's about living. Wes, those are the MVP sponsors. And I wanted to dive a little bit more into the rankings, and I'll pull up the South Carolina, the SC Mat rankings here so that we can take a look at them as we do this. Maybe if I can get it to do it. There we go. I think I got it. Mr. Producer. So here's the 5A rankings, which are not super relevant to us, except that I was going to point out that, Fort Mill, number 4, will be here. I know who else was in there. Was Stratford? I don't think they're here, are they?
Somerville on top, as you said, that team has been a
Forty, Cane Bay.
powerhouse for a
Yeah,
while. We have
Somerville
a
is an
couple of squads
absolute
in this
powerhouse.
list that will be present. Yep, Fort Dorchester, as you mentioned,
Yep.
will be there.
Cane Bay.
Anybody else? Cane Bay, of course. Yep. So
Yeah, Cane Bay, Fort Mill, and Fort Mill's got
number 4.
like 5 guys ranked in 5A. So if you get a medal, and especially if you get a gold medal in this
That's
thing,
huge.
you will have done something. Cane Bay's got 6 guys ranked, but Peace is
Wow.
a
Piece up there
stud.
at the top.
Yeah, he's unbelievable,
Monster.
dude. No, he's unreal. So he's worth the price of admission alone. He's going to be phenomenal. May River ranked 3rd at Class 4A, which is where they started the season. I think Powell felt like that was a little high at the time, but based on the results, I think it's kind of just shaken out so far that's kind of where they belong. They did edge James Island in a dual tournament.
They will not be
Really close, so that'll be a good rematch.
Yeah, no, that'll be a lot of fun. Unfortunately, they will not be at this tournament, but we'll do some in region play, which will be fun. I mean, it'd be nice to see it in terms of preview, but yeah, that's gonna be an intense contest when those two squads meet, and could very well determine most likely determine the region champion unless something special shakes out below there and somebody upsets them. And I mean, you got Hilton at 18 and Bluffton at 20. You got some Lowco squads there, so you really never know if any one of those two teams takes down May River, and it can get interesting. But I do think the Sharks and James Island should be the 2 squads to beat at the top going into.
Yeah, and I think Bluffton's better than Hilton Head in a duel, but I'm not sure yet. I haven't seen enough of Bluffton. They've had guys banged up, and they've kind of split the team a couple of times, so I haven't gotten a full read. But they're pretty strong through the middle to upper weights. They're going to be pretty tough to beat. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're kind of a little underrated right now, just because of how things have gone as far as them not showing as much. But I think Powell would back that up too. He mentioned earlier in the season, he's like, hey, we don't think Bluffton's going to be an easy match at all. Like, we're prepared for them. Looking down through the individual rankings, Ryan Seaman, freshman from May River, ranked 5th at 106. You got Bryce Stevenson at 113 for Hilton Head. Notably absent is Liam Ingblom from May River, who won the Lowco championship at 113. Stevenson got 3rd in that event. 2 May River wrestlers finished 1st and 2nd. So I would suggest that I think we'll see Ingblom jump in here, and he also had a good result this past week. So Ingblom just he was off the radar going into the season. It's no fault that he was overlooked, but I think he's one guy that's going to pop up in these rankings when they come out again in a couple of weeks. Then you've got Caden McCallum, the Eagle Scout, new Eagle Scout. I saw he just got the Eagle Scout honor, so that's very cool. Ranked 5th at 126. So unfortunately for him, he'll be in Mr. JJ Peace's weight class this weekend. So that's one of those double-edged swords. You're like, man, I kind of hope I get to wrestle him, but oh man, I don't know if I want to.
Yeah, I mean, it's a double-edged sword.
I've always wondered how I would do against him, but I'm kind of afraid
it's
to
double-edged
actually
sword.
live it out.
I think it could be helpful, to go up against that strong competition. And this is the time of year you want to do that, but at the same time, it's like, why do I have
it's an intimidating thing. But what a great opportunity, though. No one in the world expects you to win that match,
right?
But you could be the guy who stops his streak, the only
guy.
And
there's nothing to lose. You got to pull out all your best stuff.
Opportunity. Oh yeah, and I think Caden, the Eagle Scout, is the kind of guy who would embrace that impossible opportunity, and just be like, heck yeah, and he'll have a whole plan. He'll Eagle Scout it out, he'll have a game plan, and maybe it goes perfectly. But no, he's a terrific little wrestler. I've seen him get so much better over the last 2 years. Houston Rudisil, another one, freshman from May River, debuting at number 6. And, I would note here that everybody ahead of him has state qualifier experience. So to me, that just kind of indicates they're like, well, he's the best of the other guys that we didn't know about before the season. I think he's going to shoot up this list as the season goes on. He won gold at Dorman, and he was the only one from May River who did. So I think he's going to jump up on this list as we get more results.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree in the sense that we got some guys who have really become diamonds in the rough around this area, and this is the opportunity to really prove that. And these rankings, they can be a motivator for a lot of these kids, and I think that's the real purpose of them. I mean, they show who's the best in the area. I mean, as thought on by the opinions of those who make the rankings, but I just think it's a great opportunity for these other kids, these younger guys, to rise to the challenge. And as you said, I mean, you have nothing to lose, and you're going against the top, like that Peace guy you're talking about. You have nothing to lose in a match like that.
Peace.
So you want to put out your best stuff. You want to put out your A game. But even if you fall short, you kind of, at least you can say that you gave your best effort, hopefully, and you learned something. You learned a thing or two about the process. So. I think it only can help as long as it doesn't go too poorly. I mean, you don't want to get knocked out like early on. And
I mean, even if you do, though, you got a great story. Because one of the things about wrestlers is like it is such a humiliating sport, truly. Like even the very best wrestlers have a story of a match where they got humiliated in some way or another. And so it does just kind of become a story and like a badge of honor, like, oh yeah, you've heard of JJ Peace, right? Oh yeah, I wrestled that dude. Oh really? How'd it go? And no matter what happened, it's a great story because you wrestled JJ Peace. So there is that element of it for sure. I mean, I think I don't really remember how I felt about it as a 15, 16-year-old. But I know now, as an adult, with the perspective that I possess, I would absolutely, if JJ Peace was in my weight class, my goal would be to get to wrestle him.
Right.
And so I think that's the mindset that you have to have. And I think Caden would most certainly have that mindset and would be looking forward to it. And the other guy who's in that weight class, and we'll talk about him as we go through the rankings, is Elmer Linares from Battery Creek. And I know he would relish the opportunity because he's just kind of got that swagger that he thinks he can take anybody. So I think he'd be into the opportunity as well. And somebody is likely to get that chance. So that'll be really fun. But going on through the rankings, Dylan Seaman, number 6 at 144, another kid who's really just gotten better and better every year and grown up, gotten stronger too. His little brother's at 106 now. He was the 106 a couple of years ago, and now he's up big at 144, which is a loaded weight class with 7 guys there returning with state qualifying experience. At 150, Devontre Simmons snuck in at number 8. Again, kind of just a diamond in the rough guy, late bloomer. He's a senior, didn't really have a lot of track record coming into the season, so I think that's why he's at 8. But he got in there because he's done some things. He won the Lowco championship, got a pen in the finals. He came through as well and placed CSRA, which we'll get into that later because I don't have it in front of me. But he's starting to develop a little pedigree. So another opportunity for him this weekend. Gabe Fulton from Bluffton. I know he got injured their last event. Hoping he is okay to come back because another tough kid, ranked 7th, who I think has a chance to move up from there. And remember, 8 guys go to state in each weight class. So if you're in the top 8, that kind of means you're on the bubble, at least on the radar to make it to state. Exactly. Oscar Durcio from Bluffton. He was not at the Lowco championships. He wrestled at Hanahan instead. He's one I'm looking forward to seeing this weekend. Josh Echeverria, number 2 at 175, who's having a great season. He did lose one at Dorman, but it was to an out-of-state kid, if I recall correctly. We'll get into that in a bit. Calvin Clayton in number 8 at 175. And then nobody there, but you got Bradley Denmark from Bluffton at 285, and that's another guy we didn't see at Lowco, so we get to see him against some that heavyweight division. Is going to be real. The Dancing Grizzlies are going to be a joy to watch in this event. I assure you, there will be some really athletic fellas who are pushing that 285 number, who can get after it. So, yeah, it's fun to watch those guys, man. And then we had Jeremiah Chavez on the show last week, and he's one of them. He can really wrestle with some big, strong fellas because he's so good on his feet, so balanced, so technical, and just able to just tussle with them and not give up anything easy. Man, that battle he had with Downing from Bamberg was just phenomenal. Let's see, scrolling on up to 3A, and this is interesting because I was talking with Javon Livingston, and by the way, shout out Grinders. Javon Livingston from Beaufort's Own would love to stream the Shark Invitational this weekend, but he would need somebody to commit to doing the commentary so that he could keep up with the graphics of the who's wrestling, the names and the scores and all that. So he's looking for somebody kind of wrestling minded, somebody with some knowledge of the sport who would be willing to get on the mic and do a turn and just describe the action that they're seeing and let people know what's going on. So if you're interested in that, hit him up, info@Beaufort'sOwn.com, I believe is his email. But he's all over the place. Beaufort's Own.
He's doing everything.
He's everywhere. Info@Beaufort'sOwn.com. That's what it is.
I love how versatile that he's become. It's not just a big name football, basketball. He's doing everything. He's doing wrestling. He's doing baseball. He's doing soccer. It's really fun, and he's been embraced everything, and always has a smile on his face. So I love that kid so much, and the accomplishments that he's come up with here, and that's such a and just the improvements.
He's done a terrific job.
Yeah,
I just talked with him today. Yeah, he's looking for some commentators for this event, as well as he had 3, and I couldn't commit to any of them because of my schedule. But the Shark Invitational, as well as there's a dual Beaufort High on January 3rd, and then he wanted to do the Coach Trap duels on January 6th at Battery Creek, and I had conflicts with USCB basketball each time, and a wrestling tournament for middle school. But if anybody's looking to get on the mic and talk about some wrestling, maybe Coach Gearhart, he might be willing to do it. He'd be good at it. And that'd give him an excuse to go. We should get Coach Gearhart in here to talk wrestling with us. Maybe we'll do that here in a minute. But no, what I was going to say, and I talked about this with Javon, which is why I just ADHD segued into all that. Battery Creek, number 14, Beaufort, number 15, Hanahan, number 16, Philip Simmons, number 17 in Class 3A. How's that for Donnie Brook at those Region 8 3A duels that they have? That's going to be fun.
Yeah, that's going to be electric stuff right over there. To see that taking shape, it's going to be a great week of wrestling at this Shark Invitational, and to see what else is going on beyond that. It's this holiday season it is certainly a present in of itself for wrestling fans around the area, because we are seeing best on best, not just in the Low Country, but beyond and into Georgia, and some of these Savannah teams that have some quality guys as well coming in and providing that competition. So it's going to be a blast, and hopefully we can get a good crowd over there and get a lot of wrestling fans hyped up and get that commentator with Javon for those who can't make it. But
yeah,
for these next 2 days,
well, I guarantee you the gyms, and it will be both gyms, will be packed, and that's one thing that it's kind of an underground thing that not everybody knows has been happening. But even, for a while now, even around here, like when there's a big wrestling tournament on, the gym is packed with people, and they're really passionate about it. But there'll be plenty of people in there too who have no idea what's going on. So don't be intimidated by it. Come on down. People will be welcoming, I assure you. Just kind of listen to what they're saying. If you find somebody who's kind and it looks nice, who knows what's going on, maybe a coach, a coach with a kind set of eyes, hit them up and be like, Coach, can you explain to me what's happening here? You'll love it. But I don't imagine we have anybody quite that casual tuning in to the Lowco Grind presented by Reverence Wrestling Club. I think this is primarily the diehards that are tuning in here. But just in case we have any casuals, just go on over to the Shark Invitational, and over time you'll start to figure it out. You're at the end of the day, you're trying to get the guy down, you're trying to get his back on the mat, and trying to get the referee to slap it and raise your hand. And that's about the best feeling that you can have as a wrestler. Is ending that match early and getting your hand raised in front of the crowd is a terrific feeling, kind of unlike anything else in sports. It's pretty special. But now Javon and I were talking about how that Region 8 3A duels, and I love the way they have it formatted, in 7-4A. It's just kind of they all wrestle each other and there's standings or whatever. 8-3A, they all come to one place and they wrestle it all out in one night. And I love it. I love that aspect of, there's no like the lineup's different week to week. It's like whoever you got tonight is who you got. And we all come together and we're all, at our best at one time, ideally. But we're all building up to that one date, and it is what it is, and you just kind of duke it out. So I love that event, and I hope that I can get to it this year, especially with those 4 teams all ranked back to back in 3A. It looks like it's going to be the kind where every duel comes down to like the last match, which could be just phenomenally fun.
Yeah, and that's what you want. You want to see come down to the wire, and man, the competition is just so narrow and so close. Especially these region teams in 7-4A, and then you say the same in 8-3A potentially with like Battery Creek and Buford, and even with a hand-to-hand squad that's going to be tough. Philip Simmons, it's going to be a heck of a battle every night for most of these squads in between each other. And then you have some nights, for wrestling, you got like 3 squads going up against each other. So you have a couple of matches, and man, it's amazing. It is some action-packed wrestling. I just think with the increase of just depth in these schools and some of these regions we talked about, it's going to make it even more fun as we get down to really the nitty-gritty of this season and separate the best from the next best. So, man, I'm pumped. I definitely want to go to more and these matches and be as many gyms as possible. And obviously we're trying to cover everything with basketball and wrestling. So just got to make sure these matches spread out and we don't have too many conflicts. As hopefully get some Wednesday matches. But we got USC basketball, we got wrestling. So
oh my god,
that's why we need
it's conflicts galore.
That's why we need more people to get in those gyms and film some highlights for us and show us what's happening.
We got one that's my man Houston Rizzo's little brother Preston is he's a budding content creator, videographer. He will be, I believe, our youngest intern yet when he starts contributing to Lowco Sports. But you look out, Preston Rizzo's coming soon. But looking at these rankings in Class 3A, Elmer Linares, who was runner-up last year, kind of came out of nowhere to win runner-up last year because he had been injured and then came back late. But he's ranked second to another guy who was runner-up last year, a weight class up. So Elmer up one, this guy down one, Blake Greenwood from Clinton. So that's going to be, if they make it to the finals together, that's going to be a dogfight of 2 guys who have already been so close and not gotten over the top. Going head to head for gold would be terrific. But I've been really impressed with Linares. He's just a really good defensive wrestler. Great hips. He's able to just get out of some situations and get back into advantageous situations and on the mat. He's fun to watch, and I like his swagger as well. And then looking on down through here, there's not as many in these 3A rankings, although I think they're sleeping a little bit on some of these guys. Antonio McKnight ranked 5th for Buford at 138. Again, Rudisil pinned him in the finals at the Lowco Championships, and it was a little bit of a catch, but he was controlling it pretty well. So I would suggest Rudisil's better than 6th in 4A. Brandon Bowles ranks 2nd at 144. He placed 3rd at Lowco, so that's a little surprising. Although I think if we wrestled that bracket back again, he might win it. It's just one of those deals. That's wrestling for you. But him being ranked 2nd, that indicates that weight is a little weaker. And you see there's only 3 guys back with state qualifying experience. So that one's kind of wide open. I think somebody, some guys could sneak into that weight. Same thing here at 150. There's only 1 state qualifier back in all of 3A.
Yeah,
so Calvin Garcia has caught the eye of the rankings committee for now.
Man, look at all these Region 8 squad. Like, you got Andrew Legree, Battle Creek, but then you got Josh Camp, Philip Simmons. And then you got Hanahan, Jackson Stuckey. So, man, it's good. Yeah, those big dogs.
Legree's a dog, but he's behind a past state champ and a past placer. But no, I expect him to get a medal this year. He's really, really good. Terrific football player too. Just great tackler, which makes sense that he's a good wrestler, right? Form tackler, double leg takedown, pretty much the same thing.
Yep.
Gunnar de Groot. This one shocked me. Gunnar de Groot ranked 2nd, not 1st, but look at who he's ranked behind. Colton Travis from Gilbert was the state champ at 195 last year. He's down to 190. Gunnar was the state champ at 152, up to 190. So that's interesting. Now, I will say Gunnar is certified to go to 175 if he so chooses. So, it's not like it used to be where you could just cut as much weight as you wanted. You actually have to get your weight certified and your hydration and everything. And you can only go a certain amount down percentage wise from where you are when you start. But he is certified to go to 175. So it will be interesting to see if he does make that decision, because as you look at 175, it's probably an easier path to win state. But then again, he's won state. What is another gold medal? I think for a kid like him, he's like, oh, there's a guy better than me at 190. I'm staying at 190. And we'll get some perspective on that, because we've got a dog in the house. We got Chase Gearhart, head wrestling coach at McCracken Middle School, and just wrestling aficionado, Lowco aficionado. You're tuning into all of our shows now, Coach.
Oh yeah.
But I'm interested in your perspective on that. So let's start you off with that. You got de Groot from Battery Creek. I think you're familiar with Gunnar. He did lose earlier this season, so he's no longer not lost in over a calendar year, but state champ at 152 last year. Now he's at 190. He's certified to drop to 175 if he wants. The new rankings come out. He's ranked 2nd at 190 behind the guy who won at 195 last year. 175 looks like a pretty easy path to gold. What are you doing?
Well, so was the weight class 195 last year?
No, yeah, the weight class has changed.
Okay,
they changed.
Yeah, I'm
the ultimate.
Are you staying and going after this guy, or are you dropping and going for the easy gold? You've already got 1 gold.
I would probably just stay at 190.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
I agree with that.
I think Gunnar will too. I think Gunnar will too. I think he's like, look, I've already won state. I know I can go win state at 175.
Yeah,
that guy's ranked ahead of me, and I don't like that. I don't want to look like I'm running from him. I want to go beat him. And I just think that's going to be his philosophy. And
that's the mindset.
I kind of hope it is, because then we get to see that match at lower state. That's
not only that,
it's a way better storyline.
Not only that, let's forget cutting weight. Let's just get after it.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Enjoy the holidays, right? And just get after it at 190. Yeah, man. But tell us a little bit about your background in the sport, because I've gotten to know it a little bit. I know you won a whole bunch of matches, 150 plus in Michigan, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And then the Marine Corps called you, and brought you to Paris Island, and you wound up here coaching the McCracken Bulldogs, which is how we crossed paths, and it's been a pleasure. But tell people about your journey through the sport and what it's kind of meant to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So growing up, I had 3 older brothers, right? 3 older sisters, 3 older brothers. But they were not the nicest, So when I was in school, I had a substitute teacher. Her boys wrestled, and I was just sitting in the cafeteria, and she's like, "Hey, you should try wrestling." I'm like, "Oh, I don't know about that." Anyways, I went out for it. Like my first tournament, like I tore kids apart. So I ended up loving it. I was like, "Hey, I can wrestle people my own size without getting beat up by people twice my size, my older brothers."
Right.
So that's how I got hooked. Right. And then I
Fair
did that.
fight deal.
Yeah. I did that from like all the way till I was 18. And then after I graduated, I didn't want to be done. So I coached the middle school team from my alumni school. Did that for a year. And then, the Marine Corps called, and I've been in the Marine Corps 11 years. And then this gave me an opportunity just to get back into the sport. So I absolutely love it.
That's really cool. You get these opportunities to serve your country, and now you go back to the sport that you love as a child. So that's really cool. Great story. Tell me about the state of wrestling in the Low Country and how it's grown. Just these last few seasons, and how pumped you are to see a big time event right here in your hometown of Bluffton at the Shark Invitational this weekend.
So I haven't been really around for the last couple seasons, but I can say I see the enthusiasm. I see the people showing up. Just going to the Lowco country or the Low Country tournament a couple Saturdays ago was awesome.
I like that you're calling it Lowco.
Yeah,
I think we need to start branding it that for next year.
Yeah, and not only that, just like what Reverence Wrestling Club is doing, at least in Bluffton, it's amazing. So I can see it blowing up, and just watching May River, it just gets me pumped up too, because those guys, they had 12 of 14 kids in the championship. They're making some hammers.
Yeah, well, I think you would agree that it's not it's not magic. Like they're coaching a pretty straightforward style that kids can pick up quickly, which is kind of what we're trying to do at McCracken as well. And it doesn't take a lot of technique to start winning matches at that level, especially at the middle school level. Now, it takes some technique to keep winning matches and to beat higher level kids. And that's where Reverence comes in. And that's where, Blake came into our room for one day and kids were like, whoa, I love
the way he can just grab the room. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Everyone is just on him. Like his technique it's on point.
It's really phenomenal. It's impressive. No, it's phenomenal, but man, it is kind of remedial still at this stage, especially at the middle school level, because about half our room doesn't really have any experience in the sport, doesn't really have any terminology in the sport. We had to go over crossface today, which because we've been yelling it for weeks and we haven't had time in the room to talk about exactly what that means. We've still got work to do. And I think that comes as more people get, and we'll start to see it too. The kids who have started with Reverence or with the other clubs when they were younger are starting to age in, and we'll have more and more of those. But we always want to have the kids who are new to the sport too. We never want it to be at the school level in particular. We don't want it to be cut off from the newcomers to the sport, because as I said, if you can learn a basic double leg takedown, swim to a half, you can win a good number of matches, and then the confidence starts to grow, and then anything is possible. So, that's where we're trying to break it down to nuts and bolts, square one stuff with some of the kids. But then we have some little hammers that have been wrestling with Reverence too. Eli and Andrew Lawson, and we went to that Lowco championship, and I'll tell you what, you look across the middle school division and there's some talent coming. The high schools are going to get real good real fast.
Yeah, and like you said, just like we were talking about today, all these kids need to be good at like 3 or 4 things, especially at the middle school level. They're good at getting in on a leg, finishing it, on bottom, standing up, and then on top, breaking down and putting in a half or a move that they're good at. Just get good at 3 or 4 things, get solid at those things, and you're going to win a lot of matches.
Stay off YouTube until you get good at those 3 or 4.
Right. And it's tempting to see all the trick moves and everything.
Oh, it also amazes me too, because we had a Vu, one of our wrestlers, just hit a suicide.
Vincent Vu.
I'm like,
and this guy's like Ivy League smart, y'all. Ivy League smart.
Yeah. First year wrestling, and on a pretty decent kid, hits a suicide cradle. I'm like, what? Who taught you that? It looked
Where
pretty.
did you learn that, son?
We just looked at each other, and he goes, "Who taught him that?" And I go, "Probably Eli." And he goes, "Yeah, probably." And then Vu comes over, and we go, "Who taught him that?" And he goes, "Oliver." So it was Oliver Wang. So Oliver Wang he's the low key, like you wouldn't have expected it, but he's the low key one who's on YouTube because he's hitting all kinds of trick shots
tilts
and trick stuff.
Yeah,
he's doing all kinds of trick stuff he's working on in practice. I love it. I love it. I love like you said, the enthusiasm is what I love, and it's still a niche. It's still a small number of people, but it's just another niche, another community, another way to draw in kids who fall through the cracks of other sports, and it's for a lot of kids it's kind of that net, that last sport where we get a lot of like ADHD types, right? Like that just like they just can't be focused for that long, but man, for 4.5 minutes or maybe shorter, if they really stay focused and they pin the guy, they can be a dog. And especially the ones like you and I who grew up smaller, and when we finally got to fight somebody our own size, it was like, yeah, this is awesome. But no, we've got some great kids, man, and I just love the things that we're able to instill through the sport. But no, you had a heck of a run, Constantine, correct, at Michigan?
Yeah.
In Michigan?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I've had people ask. That's why I asked. There's a lot of Michiganders down here,
Oh yeah.
So.
Constantine. It's a small school, but pretty rich wrestling history. So.
Yeah, very good.
That's really cool.
But no, I know you're excited about this Shark Invitational.
Oh yeah.
You're looking forward to get out there. You want to do some commentary for Buford Tone? They're looking for somebody.
Yeah, I would be interested in that. I just gotta convince the wife. That's it.
All right.
Well, who are some of the? Are there some guys?
What if you told her you had a commentary gig? You don't have to mention it's not paid or anything.
Yeah.
Are there guys looking at this list of Buford Maver? Any guys you particularly have your eye on to show out in this tournament that you'd like to see perform?
For myself,
yeah,
I've seen. I know you guys had Dylan Seaman on there.
Yep.
Excited to watch him wrestle. And then there was a freshman at 130.
Yeah.
Who was that?
138. 138.
I watched him. He's a hammer. Yeah.
He is a hammer.
Yeah, I'm excited.
He really is.
I'm excited to watch him as well. And then
I think I've got his match. I'm in computer purgatory right now because I'm here we go. Because I'm on family vacation and all. But we do have this Houston Rudisville Antonio McKnight match, which is 2 state-ranked wrestlers. McKnight number 5. Well, and McKnight with a really nice single to start, but then Rudisville scramble. But Rudisville's been killing it, man. Yeah. He won the Gilbert, and we can go ahead and talk about that while we're watching this. We got off track when I invited my man Gearhart in, but it was better. I just needed somebody else to talk to because my voice was getting tired. And Wes, you're doing great. No offense, but we just needed another voice in here. And Gearhart was watching, so might as well get him in. Right. No, what I was going to say is Rudisville won the 138 title at the Gilbert or at the Dorman tournament, which is a pretty big deal. major decision in the finals too, 16-5 over a kid from Dorman. So that's pretty legit. Seaman lost in the finals to Tanner Murda from Stratford, who's number 6 in 5A. He got majored by him, but I'm not too concerned about it. Echeverria got pinned by a kid from Dorman who's 5A number 5. So those were their finalists. And then Ryan Seaman, Little One 106, lost a 7-4 decision to a kid from Broome. I think he's going to for sure go to state, maybe place as a freshman. Engblom got 4th, and he got pinned in the consies, but it was by the 2A number 4, Riley Rushton from 96. And Morrow, the 215, got pinned in the consies by Max McGee, who's the 2A number 1 from 96. Wow. So the guys they were losing to were really quality guys, which I think you'd agree, Coach. Like, I can live with losses to quality guys. I'd rather lose to quality guys than just go hammer somebody you should hammer. I mean, that's that you don't get anything out of that.
You're not learning too much when you're taking care of business against
that's right.
That's not how you improve.
Yeah, those gritty losses are good for you. They really make you a better wrestler.
I know. Sometimes my wife and I don't see eye to eye on that. She's like all bummed out after Truman gets beat, and I'm like, she's like, "Why are you smiling?" And I'm like, "Oh, that was great." She's like, "What? He just got beat," and I was like, "Yeah, it was awesome." But he usually beats that kid. Yeah, I know. That was the best part. That was the best part.
He usually beats that kid. It really humbles you more. The fact that it's a one-on-one, situation where you're going up against another guy, and I just think the experience of seeing yourself get on the losing end, seeing the other guy's hand get raised, I think it says a lot about mental fortitude and how you really respond for that. So as you are a full wrestler yourself, Coach, talk about that kind of mentality that you have to have to be successful, to take those lumps and learn from them, and just continue to grow your technique as you go forward. So just attest and speak to that as a former wrestler here in the sport.
I know for me, like a lot of time when I was in high school, I always overthought everything. So just getting out of that was a big deal, because I was always in high school checking the rankings to see where I was, to see where the person I was about to wrestle was, and that really got in my head. I think after my junior year, I took out in the state finals. I took out like the 3rd ranked kid and the 4th ranked kid when I was like ranked like 10th, and then I was like, I just got to stop looking at rankings, because that was the day like I realized that none of that even mattered. It's a 0-0 record versus an 0-0 record right when you step on the mat. And the score is 0-0. So that was the biggest thing for me. And then taking those losses, they're going to happen unless you're Cale Sanderson or Dan Gable. The losses are going to happen. So
I feel like I'm living through today's practice talk again.
Yeah.
Like we talked about all of this in practice today, all of it, including Cale Sanderson. And somebody goes, "Who's Cale Sanderson?" And we told them, and then they said, I don't even know what they said, but they was way off base. They didn't know who
I was just talking because I said even Cale Sanderson lost in his redshirt season,
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and then we had to have a whole discussion about what a redshirt season was. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, kind of threw it off.
Coach middle schoolers, they said. No, I love it, man. It's like I was so excited to go to practice today. Like, I was like, we got wrestling practice today. This is awesome. It's Wednesday? Sweet. We got wrestling practice today. But
especially
it was good to get back in there with the kids.
Yeah, most of those kids are just happy to be there and ready to learn.
Oh, yeah.
It was good stuff.
Oh, yeah, man. No, we had a good group today. It was really fun to get in there with them. But other results that I wanted to talk about a little bit. Hilton Head was at the CSRA Rumble on the River. That was North Augusta. I think we hosted it. Devontre Simmons, who we talked about earlier, Seahawks finished 11th out of 32. This was a big tournament. Devontre Simmons was 3rd. Calvin Clayton was 3rd. Bryce Stevenson was 5th. So those are all guys that are ranked accordingly in the state. Although that's good showings all around.
Who does
girls? What's that?
Who does Bluffton have? Bluffton High. Big.
They've got some guys. We'll go back on that for a second.
Okay.
But they do have a girl who's a defending state champ, Jada Lawrence.
Nice.
And she placed third at 145 in this tournament, but her loss was to a girl from Virginia. So they attracted a really good girls field for this event in North Augusta. Rosa Olivetti from Hilton Head also was fourth at 115. But I do have the Bluffton or the 4A rankings for you. Which we went through a little bit earlier, but it's fine. We can do it with you again. So Bluffton has you'll love this guy right here. Right here, Gabe Fulton.
Ooh,
Look, he's a 157 pounder. He's a 157 pounder. His 7th grade brother had a cut to 175.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, is he a dog like Nate?
Sure he is. He's raised by Kevin and Amber. So there's no doubt he's anything but a dog. Nate Fulton is the man. This is like if Nate Fulton isn't like the epitome of a wrestler and toughness, I don't know who is. But this guy literally separated his shoulder in the second period against a tough kid. By the way, this was not. Yeah. He was losing the match. He separated his shoulder in the second period. We asked him, we could tell he was in pain. We asked him, do you need injury time? He said, no. The ref said, are you sure you don't need injury time? He said, no. They continued the match. He immediately pinned the kid, got up and went, and went to the ER and didn't get to wrestle in the finals. But he was not going to not finish that match. And he was the fastest way he could see out of it was to just pin the kid. So he just did. I mean, this kid is an absolute dog.
And then he still wanted to wrestle the finals. It's like, dude, you got to go to the ER.
He said, they said I got to go to the ER, but I got to wrestle in the finals. I was like, no, bro, you gotta go to the ER. And it was Sean Zink who told you to go to the ER. So, son, you are going to the ER because that man knows what he's talking about. But they also got Durcio at 165, these are the guys that didn't come to Lowco, right? So Durcio, I would say he's probably would have won that weight class.
That's why I was curious about these guys.
Yeah, and then they've got their big dog is Bradley Denmark. They're 285. He's very good. He's really, really good. Ranked 4th in 4A, and he's worked hard at it. Like he's done all the freestyle and the Greco and all that stuff to try to increase his technique and be more varied. So I would have loved to have seen him and Chavez go again, because Chavez said that Denmark's whipped him pretty good the 2 times they've wrestled, but Chavez is getting better all the time too. And they're both really good defensively. Chavez is exceptional defensively. He just doesn't give up anything on his feet. So I would love to see them go head to head, but I don't know that they will, with Bluffton being 4A and Bridges being 2A, 1A.
That's the kid you had on the other night, right? Jeremiah Chavez.
Yeah, Chavez. Yeah, Jerry. Yeah, big kid. He's tough, man. I saw him wrestle that big linebacker fullback kid Downing from Bamberg Earhart, Jamie Downing, who's a dog too, absolute dog, and super athletic, undersized for 285. He probably needs to be 205. But I mean, if he wasn't a football player, like he doesn't need to cut to 205. I'm not suggesting that, but as a wrestler, that's probably where he would be. But man, they had a really good match, and Chavez was just so impressive with the way he's big and thick and heavy bottomed, but he's able to defend a much quicker, more athletic guy and not give up points and beat him like 2-1. And he got 2 of the points on stalling calls late that he really initiated, because he put so much pressure on him on their feet that he got him stumbling a couple of times and forced him to back out and got him banged. And that was really what won the match. But it's like an underrated detail of the match, that he was able to control so much on his feet and able to force him into situations where he had to backpedal and get banged, because they're really emphasizing that right now. They're really banging that backpedal back out at all. They're hitting it. It's way quicker than it used to be, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it way quicker than it used to be? Like, I remember dudes stalling for ages and not getting called for it back in my day.
I think they're calling it like colleges now. Just calling it quick.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. I just like that. Well, and I like it at the lower levels too, because I like to try to just instill that no, we don't just lay around. We don't do that. We work. We work to get up. We work to do something. We're not just going to sit on his hips. We're going to wrestle. Yeah. And I've said a lot with baseball, and I think it's in some ways even more important with wrestling, that the official has to really embrace the role as a teacher and as a coach, and we're fortunate with George and Ty Dixon. I don't care where you come from. I don't care where you come from. Like, there's the officiating for wrestling is much better in most places than it is in South Carolina. I'll grant you that. But when George is on it particularly, and Ty's not too far behind him, I mean, he's learning at a fast rate. When they're on it, man, that whatever the rules are right now, they know what they are. And there's a lot of times where I'm like, well, hold on, that's not, and I'm like, well, that was the 1996 rules. I'm pretty sure George knows it better than I do. So I just shut my mouth and go with it. But it's a good feeling, is what I was getting at, when that the refs not only know the rules and interpret them, fairly and correctly, but also that they embrace the spirit of teaching the kids through that. And that's what, when we did our weigh-in, I don't know about you, but I was really impressed with the way that George and Ty did the first weigh-in for our middle school teams, and really walked them through the process and the expectations, and just kind of just setting a standard for, this is what it's going to look like going forward if you continue with this sport. And that was meaningful to me. I got kind of like emotional. I was like, oh man, like, first weigh-in, and the kids are kind of learning the ropes, and to see George kind of take charge of it and kind of make a presentation of it was pretty cool for me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, that was awesome. He took the time. Like, I mean, we were trying to wrestle, but at the same time, like, we need to lay that foundation so they know how it looks every time, and then we look professional when we show up somewhere else.
That's right. Yeah, we're still working on it. It's herding cats.
It's
definitely herding cats some days. Herding cats. But what else we got to talk about? We got to shout out some sponsors, boys. You need you need a website, Chase? DDS Web Design can do it for you. They build, host, and maintain quality websites for businesses and nonprofits so that you can get found online and do more business and think bigger. So hit them up at ddshhi.com and tell them Lowco sent you. And then the Parker Law Group, if you run into legal trouble out in Hampton, Colleton, or Jasper counties, Chase, you can call on Parker Law Group and just let them know you're a friend of Lowco now. Now that you've been on the show, they'll take good care of you. They've jumped on board to help us continue to expand our coverage in those counties and shine a light on more deserving teams and student athletes around the Low Country. And we already shouted them out, but Reverence Wrestling Club, also one of our varsity sponsors this year and the presenting sponsor of the Lowco Grind. So, fellas, let's see what else we were going to get into our hammers of the week, because we kind of just blew through the rest of that stuff. So, Wes, you get first crack. Who you got a hammer lined up?
Yeah, I'm gonna take Houston Russo, who took the championship at 138 over the Dorman Cavalier Invitational. Great run, and 16-5 decision against a strong opponent in Travion Miller. So I'm gonna go with Russo. Also give a shout out to one of my guys. Actually, one of my girls, Jayla Lawrence, on the Hilton Head side. Taking I believe third place in for.
She's Bluffton. Yeah, she's
Bluffton.
But yeah,
okay.
she took
all right. She took third, but she was okay. That Hilton Head was Bluffton, but Hilton Head was everyone else was Hilton Head on that list. But Yeah, she's been terrific, and we'll go with Rose Olivetti as well from Hilton Head, who took fourth at
Yep.
115. So, great to see the
Look at
girls,
ladies.
the ladies, showing out because we've talked a lot about Zao Estrada over the years and Siobhan as well from Bluffton, but there's more coming, and we see it evidenced right
Yep.
here. So keep going, young ladies, and keep doing your thing on the mat as well.
No doubt. Coach, you want to shout out any hammers this week?
Yeah,
Maybe
I was
a
also
bulldog. Or...
well, we got a bunch of bulldogs, but I was also going to say Houston as well, just winning those two tough tournaments, and then I'm excited to see what he does this weekend. So hopefully he can come out on top there too. A freshman just getting down. So
well, he looks special, right? Like, I mean, you just see him walk on the mat and you're like, okay, this kid's got some juice. He looks, it's silly, like it's stereotypical, but he looks like a wrestler.
He doesn't look like a freshman either.
Exactly. No, he doesn't. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, he looks like a dude who looks comfortable on the mat right off the bat.
You know, when you see a guy like that out there, that is,
man, that'd be a bummer.
Every bit of
a bummer if he's not in there.
Someone just said they didn't see him in the bracket.
Really?
Yeah, Sowers did. I'll have to peep that later. I mean, it's possible that Powell had entered. Did Powell get all his guys entered? I don't know. We'll peep that later. Let's hope Houston Russell is in the bracket, because that'd be a shame if he's not. But nonetheless, we're gonna have some great wrestling. I was gonna give a shout out first of all to Zao Estrada, because she's still getting it done. Not wrestling for the high school anymore, but she's under the Daughters of Zion banner, training with her dad, who's epic wrestling trainer, Jeffrey Estrada. And she won a championship down in Florida. It was the girls knockout Christmas classic, pinned her way through it. I think only the final, she went to the second period. All the rest were first period pins. So she's still doing damage. And, it makes sense to me that she's kind of just going her own path now, because like even when she got here, like South Carolina girls wrestling was non-existent, so she had to wrestle with the guys, and she proved her worth with the guys. She placed at state multiple times, like she did it. But then also I think for girls in particular, as it's one thing when they're like 106, 113, you start getting above that, it's like it's a different sport, girls wrestling and boys wrestling almost, like. And so I think it got to a point where it didn't make sense for her really to wrestle against the guys. Plus the guys, I think some of them like really were jerks, like they're wrestling the tough girl and they really want to like hurt her or something, like I think there was some of that, some malice there at times. And so it makes sense to me. Like Bulwer said, she's going to be on the world team this year. Like it didn't make a ton of sense for her to keep going around to South Carolina tournaments to see how she could do against the guys. I think of Michelle Wee, and kind of the knock on Michelle Wee has always been like she never learned how to win, because she didn't ever play against girls her age. She always played against women or against men or against the boys or whatever, and she competed and did great, but she never learned how to win. And so I think there's something to be said for it's a little different, but I think for Zao just going and finding her peers and competing against them is critical, and will help her continue to ascend on the world level. But she's phenomenal talent. We were blessed to get to watch her for a couple of years at the high school level and see what she could do. She definitely opened some eyes to some guys about the gender difference or lack thereof when it comes to wrestling. Because getting ragdolled by a girl will change your mind real quick about that, huh, Coach?
Yeah, you love to see it.
Oh, we cheer like crazy when our girl Zenaria gets somebody hooked up. She got that cradle going today. That was nice. Wes has to go grab his charger. But yeah, I'll check out Sowers. I see you, bro. I see you hitting me with the Florina brackets. I know how to get to them. I just had not looked at them since people started registering more wrestlers. So had not dug that deep into it yet. but that was for tomorrow, buddy. But anyway, my hammers of the week, Zao was the one. And then, gosh, who to give one to? Riddle is the obvious choice. He's awesome, man. He can muscle you, but he's super technical too. I don't know where I want to get him on here. I don't know where he grew up. I have a feeling he didn't grow up here. I have a feeling he got some training elsewhere but maybe not. Maybe it's all.
And he does his high school practices. And then I was talking to Eli, one of our kids, and he says he's in Reverence every day too. So, and
oh yeah, no, I know that's no doubt. Like you can just tell the comfort on the mat is obvious. But yeah, Rudisill, he gets one for sure. Devontae Simmons too. I'm giving him one too. Lowco champ, got third at that big tournament at North Augusta. I liked what I saw from him in that championship match at Lowco. He was aggressive. I really liked. Oh, from Indian Land, trained at C2.
No, Houston's in here at 132. Houston's in here at 132.
Oh, he's at 132.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh. The plot thickens. So now I got to look back at these rankings because he's ranked 6th at 138, but he's going to 130.
Drop down. I wonder if he's after someone.
Tis the season. So you look at 132.
Let's see.
I don't know. I think he's probably just he just probably was aiming for 132 all along.
Yeah.
I would guess.
Could be that time.
It's not. It's winnable. At 138, you do have to go through at least a previous state champ, 3-time placer. That's no easy task. Here you got, a 2-time placer, but you don't have any previous champs at least.
That's true. Yeah.
Eastside's got a junior, but here they got a sophomore who was a runner-up last year. Yeah. You always got to look who Eastside's got. You always got to look who Eastside's got. And I do, whereas I argued that DeGroat should chase the challenge, he's already won one, and he's a senior. So chase the challenge. You're going to wrestle at the next level if that's what you want to do. But Rudisill's in a different situation now because he's a freshman.
He could be a 4-timer.
He could be a 4-timer. And that is a special distinction. And so you gotta try to find the path if it's there. And if it was an easy cut for him, which I would suggest if he can get there coming out of Christmas, then it wasn't very difficult. If everybody's going to slip a little over Christmas, so if you can get
allowances
Christmas, you can do.
You get another pound.
That's a good question. Bowler or Pro Toast or Sours.
Well, you got indulged at one point, don't you? Yeah, it's the holidays.
Well, they actually do give allowances usually after the holidays. Usually get a pound or whatever. Which is always good. Yeah, always good. Man, we ate so many pounds of food in the name of that 1 pound. 2 pounds. So they 2 pounds. So
Coach
Sauer, you can eat a good 8 to 10 pounds. In the name of those 2 pounds. As long as you get back out there running and get back in the wrestling room, get it cranked up hot. But the other hammer that I wanted to shout out was my special segment that I teased earlier. But we'll do that after we shout out the Lowco Booster Club because we owe it to them. The Lowco Booster Club right now includes the Court Lifestyle Pros, Low Country natives Daniel and Debbie Court selling the Lowco Lifestyle on Hilton Head Island. Barefoot floor care of the Low Country. My guy Chris Odom will get your floors so clean your feet will thank you. Prime IV Hydration and Wellness now open in Belfair Town Village. Go get juiced up with the IV drip with all the vitamins and minerals. Rooted Living Wellness, who I might have to go see Dr. Ambrose Cole after getting back in the wrestling room today. I didn't even really wrestle, and I'm a little cracked up. Although, Coach, we did take a couple good sprawls from Wang, didn't we?
Yeah.
And then Eagle Creations, great place for your promotional items, your custom apparel, or your custom gift baskets. And Jay's Barbershop, if you need a haircut or if you just want to hang out and listen to some fun conversation, maybe grab some tacos on your way in or out. Great place to be in downtown Ridgeland with our guy Jay Alfonso. But no, I've teased it enough. Here's my shout out. We're calling it Still Hammering. That's what I want to call this segment. Want to shout out some former Lowco hammers who are still getting it done at the next level, starting with James Levy. That high. We all remember him. Well, you don't, Gerhard. You weren't here yet. But he's a junior at Wartburg College, and he is destroying it. He's ranked 9th in the country in D3 at 125 pounds. I looked him up earlier. He had a rough freshman year, but then last year he was, I want to say, like 16-7. Had a really solid year. Let me get him here. I had him pulled up earlier, and then here we go. Show this tab instead. My guy Levy was 3-6 his freshman year. Kept fighting. 18-7 with 7 pins last season. He placed third earlier this year at the Concordia Open, and as far as I can tell, he's been winning pretty much every time they roll him out there in a duel. He's dominating people, and I'll show you this. Let me see here. From their last match, he teched his guy 15-0, and that was his third tech fall of the season. All but one of his wins have been by bonus points. So he's just dominating people, which is great to see. I mean, that was a kid who really just went heart and soul into it, right? He was a smaller guy. His brother was a good baseball player and good wrestler as well. But James was a little bit smaller, and he just decided wrestling was going to be his thing. And, man, he was an absolute hammer at the high school level, and one of those kids who went out and sought it, sought competition wherever he could find it, traveled all over the country, decided he wanted to do it the next level. And great example of a niche sport producing an opportunity at a D3 school to get great education and build memories for a lifetime. But I don't know that college wrestling would be the grind for me, Coach, but much respect to the guys who have the discipline and dedication to do it, right?
That's a tough ask right there.
That's coming from a guy who's been in the Marine Corps for 11 years. He's like, ooh, college wrestling? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that'd be definitely. That's physically and mentally, college wrestling, it's up there.
Yeah, it's demanding. So many sports in college are, but that, it takes to a whole new level from, high school to college, just the physicality and the level of dedication that you get delivered to yourself and to your team. And that competition is stiff. So all the power to
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who it is.
Hammer.
When you line up across from another person your weight and it's like hand-to-hand combat, like that's competition. I don't care who they are. Like that's a competition, period. Because you don't know until you walk out there.
Right.
You're resigning yourself to go have a fight with somebody, and all you know is that they're the same weight as you. It's kind of a crazy concept when you think about it like that. But thanks, Jake Sowers, for the love. We're ready for you to come on as a guest whenever you're ready, buddy. You just holler at me, and we'll get you in here on YouTube or where we definitely want to get caught up on. You got like a whole gang of people you're taking all over the country to tournaments all the time. So we'd love to hear from you and get caught up on everything happening over there. But Gerhard, I think you got yourself a co-host role whenever you want it. You're always up watching, so. You're good at talking wrestling with us, so you're welcome anytime, man. And
I appreciate it.
I'll see you tomorrow, 4:00 in the dance room.
Getting back at it in the dance room, the new wrestling room.
It's the wrestling room for 3 days. Yeah, you got to leave the mats out and everything. It was the greatest. How great was it to not have to roll up the mats after practice?
Oh God, that's the best.
Hey man, if we got some big donors watching, big wrestling lovers watching, you want to drop some money on McCracken, we could sure use a wrestling room.
That'd be
we got bumped for for concerts 2 nights in a row, and now we're in the dance room for 3 days with overlapping mats. So
Yeah.
you know, we get it in where we can fit it in, but we would love a wrestling room at McCracken. But no, thanks to everybody who has contributed to this thing, especially to Reverence Wrestling Club, the presenting sponsor of the Lowco Grind, as well as all of our year-round sponsors, and to everybody who tunes in to listen or watch. We appreciate you. Ashley Powell couldn't stay up late with us tonight, but we appreciate him as well and everything he's doing to bring the Shark Invitational to town this weekend. 32 teams. It's going to be amazing. Wall-to-wall wrestling in 2 gyms. Coach Gearhart's just nodding his head over there I can't wait, man. I can't wait.
I really got to get over there. I love it.
I got him a commentary gig lined up to help him get out of his house.
Yeah. There we go.
I'll lean on your wife if you need me to. I'll say, man, I mean, it's not going to get broadcast if he doesn't go do it. The kids need it. They need the exposure. It's for the kids. It's for the kids.
It's for their opportunities.
Is that the right card to play?
That's the right card.
Is that the right card to play? All right. You just let me know. You shoot me your number. I'll lean on her. We'll get it worked out. But no, thanks everybody. It's been fun. That's going to do it for this episode of the Lowco Grind. We'll be back to do it again next Wednesday. Until then, go Lowco.
Thanks.